The Fight
Club edition.
on bad franchising. Coming up next. All right, so did you see the title today?
No, I was going to ask you, what is our title?
The title is 25 Challenges Franchisees Face When Buying a Franchise. And I did do 25, and I want to give you some of these, and you tell me if you agree.
This is fun. I like this. Okay.
1, financial commitment, meeting the franchise fees, initial investment, and ongoing royalty payments. Agree? Did you freeze? Are you frozen?
Am I disappearing?
Oh, man, you froze. Someone's coming at you. Can you hear me now? Well, really, the issue, the 25 challenges franchisees face is, can you even hear Charles to give the advice? Are you back?
Am I back? Yeah, sorry about that. I think so. I think I'm back.
Hey, Melissa, if you're watching this later on, we're gonna need to cut it. Yeah, we need to cut a year of bloopers. It'll be good. You're kind of back now. Now you're kind of frozen again, but you can somewhat hear me, right? Can you hear me? You can't hear me. This is.
I'm sorry, guys. Am I back?
You tell me if you're back.
I think I am. This is the worst podcast ever.
I mean, that's the start. Here's what I'm going to do. Charles, if you can hear these, I'm going to read all of these out loud, and then I want you to comment. All right, here are the challenges that a franchise buyer has to overcome when buying a franchise. The financial commitment, finding the right franchise. It's a crowded marketplace. Conducting due diligence, like how do you actually thoroughly investigate the franchise's financial health, the legal obligations and reputation, navigating the franchise disclosure document, the FDD, understanding and interpreting the complex legal documents provided by the franchisor. 5, securing financing, obtaining funding for the initial franchise fee, equipment, inventory, and operating costs. 6, creating a business plan. 7, negotiating the franchise agreement, ensuring favorable terms and conditions in the agreement, and potentially negotiating modifications. 8, location selection. 9, lease negotiation. 10, hiring and training employees, finding and recruiting qualified staff, and providing a training to ensure a successful operation. 11, understanding and adhering to the franchise regulations. 12, managing ongoing royalty and advertising fees. 13, balancing independence and collaboration. 14, building brand awareness. 15, competition within the franchise network. 16, adapting to changing market conditions. 17, employee turnover and training. 18, inventory management. 19, dealing with customer complaints, resolving customer complaints and maintaining that positive reputation of the franchisor. Maintaining profitability, compliance with regulations, managing cash flow, balancing work-life integration, keeping up with industry trends, and number 25, exit strategy planning, developing a plan for potential exit when selling a franchise. How do you think that list did, Charles?
It's comprehensive. And if I broke them up into 3 categories, the way I look at it, because those are all there. It's finding the right fit, financing and capitalization, number 2, and 3 is operations. Those, like, to me, is where the buckets, I would take those 25 items in and just drop that in.
Okay, so if we organize that, if I said rate the quality and the construct of that list, what would you rate it as?
Of that list being accurate, and I'd say that's a 10 out of 10. And not, again, this is Fight Club. I want to disagree with you, Nick, but that's a 10 out of 10.
I'm going to show you this. See this?
Yeah.
Chat GPT. Can you create a list of 25 challenges a franchise buyer has to overcome when buying a franchise?
And that's what it gave.
That's the list.
What I'm shocked about is how smart its number 25 is, Because if I'm looking at an AI generated nonsense, I would think that it would overlook 25, which is exit strategy. Right?
Even the way that it organized it by saying, first, let's figure out how much money you have. And then when you've gone through all of this journey, let's figure out the challenge. It ended by writing this. It said, this list covers a range of challenges that franchise buyers may face. It's important to note that each franchise opportunity may have its own unique set of challenges, so it's vital for individuals to conduct thorough research and seek professional advice before making any investment decisions. And what's interesting, so GPT just said, go talk to a human. They end it by saying, go talk to a human about this. Seek advice.
It is, but I'm going to try to criticize AI, right?
Well, I mean, this is where,
look,
I mean,
if you take that list is on point, 10 out of 10. And each one of those topics is a deep, deep dive for a franchise buyer. But the biggest, the thing that cures everything, the elixir to franchise success, starts with two things: finding the right franchise and capitalization. Those are the two things. Because finding the right franchise also means that the franchisor can help you do it operationally, technology stack. When as a franchise lawyer, we represent many brands, and one in particular I'm thinking about, a franchisee who didn't give it a long enough running room. 6 months in is like, hey, this is not working for me. All KPIs and metrics it is. And when the lawyer sends me a 4-page letter of everything that's wrong, I could confidently write back in one paragraph that the system is proven, the team is proven, the support is there, and we just reject your claim. And I 100% know that to be the case. And you know how the attorney responds after that? They don't say a word. Because it's true, which gets to, I see patterns and symmetry between successful brands. I see it on the other side for franchisors. And it's great founders. It's a business model that works. It's repetitive systems. It's technology implementation. It's we're going to help you get consistently great reviews because we make your life simple. And the economic model works where you could scale to a very significant level. So, I mean, if you choose the wrong franchisor or the wrong franchise, all those other things you mentioned, you can manage it as best as you'd like. It's never going to work.
So I was talking to the franchise department, who you connected
Which
me,
are great guys. Good guys.
Good dudes. And I said, talk about, like, what's your why you why now? And he starts talking about proper capitalization. He talks about coming from St. Gregory Group, which was in a sales accelerator. Like a brand would sign up at St. Gregory Group to sell hundreds of locations. And he says, I learned a lot of lessons from that, and I've taken those down and said, we don't need to scale at that pace for a lot of brands. And he talks about vetting the founder, and he's looking at the capitalization, and he's talking about the support of the franchisees. I said, you know what you just did? The 6 brands that you have listed on your website, you vetted them. And so to a buyer, if they happen to watch this video, they're going to watch this and they get to sidestep some of the finding the right franchise because they've actually already been vetted. I think the issue with franchising in general is that even those that claim to have vetted the business haven't truly vetted the business. And so to a franchise buyer, challenge one is, who are you supposed to trust?
Right.
And AI certainly can't say, like, there's a lot of snake oil for franchise buyers. That could be a franchise portal that says #1 franchise, but it's only #1 franchise because that brand is paying to have that slot. It's not wrong, but to a buyer that doesn't understand how to cut the cards, the buyer is already misled on step 1. I do think what you said is one of the highest and most valuable pieces of advice that if anybody ever listens to this. You said when a lawsuit was happening, you're like, I can stand by this is a viable business that supports its franchisees. That's a big deal. And so if you're an emerging brand or you're thinking about franchising your business and you're like, am I a viable business opportunity that can change the lives of the people that come in here in exchange for me relying on their wealth to grow our brand? If the answer isn't a hell yes, I don't know you want to be franchising your business.
Right. And also that's a warning sign. I mean, look, there are those exceptional franchises that people bought in multiple territories and built generational wealth, and you don't want to miss it. But the ones that are scaling fast also, and it may seem like that next one, you got to pause and really question, can they support the growth and the operations? And that's going to be a big factor. But, it's very difficult for franchise buyers because we were talking even before, there's a lot of videos out there and they're 5 minutes. And my question is this clickbait? Because the information I get seems like it's just enough to get me to reach out and maybe rely on that source for information. But I question whether that source even understood what they're presenting. And you know what? That's pissing me off. And likewise, you know what else is pissing me off?
Yes, tell us,
are
Charles.
these development companies, some of them, the minority, that don't know what they're doing, and they're launching franchise brands they shouldn't. And to them, I say, to hell with you. Really, F you. And I don't mean it in a competitive way. I mean it like, not only is it the franchise buyers, but it's the franchisors. It's their time. It's their energy. And I guess that's another good point for franchise buyers. You have to look at these franchisors, especially on the emerging end, as they're entrepreneurs like you. Maybe they've taken further steps, they've built out their business, but just like your new venture as a franchisee is going to be all new to you, for them, being a franchisor is. And you really have to evaluate the sincerity and capability of the leadership team. I mean, I was talking yesterday, again, full disclosure, I'm biased. It's a client, but I'm not biased. They're great people. Shuck and Shack, Oyster Bar, right? And that's led by a team where there's genuine leadership. They're going to go out there. They're going to go to your location. They care. They know operations. So you have to look at these people. They're in their journey also as a franchisor. And, there's a lot of candor out there with the right franchisor and a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. If we're articulating this back, what you just said is, one, in a world of clickbait, it's super hard for franchisees to know which way is up and which way is down, and there's no protector. There's like an FTC or labor laws that are coming in. Like, there's perceived protection, but there's not universal protection of the franchisee. Nobody is giving full transparent information, and therefore it's clouded. So I have a client, just talked with him a little bit ago. He goes, "Hey, heads up, we wanted to be on this list. There was a list." He goes, "Based on our financial performance, we would have been like ranked number 13 on this list of top 30. He goes, "We didn't even make the list. Why?" I said, "Well, are you proactively talking about your financial?" He's like, "Well, no." I go, "So you just wanted someone to magically know that you would fall in number 13? He's like, "Well, I mean, when you put it that way." He goes, "Do I have to pay for play?" I go, "In some cases, yeah." And if I break down all the words I just said, that list is misguiding the candidate.
Yeah.
And in a world where rankings don't disclose the process of how they truly rank, then transparency misses and it leads a witness. I think that's a dangerous field to play in, because at the end of the day, and it's not necessarily that the franchisors at blame there, but to a franchisee that says, wow, that they were a top 10 brand, next big emerging brand. I mean, there's one that comes into mind instantly. I can make that face at Charles, and he knows what I'm talking about. A mobile concept that just isn't a good, viable business. And it is constantly ranked in the top 10 emerging brands. That's dangerous. So challenge one, I think, if we're trying to label this down, is for someone that doesn't understand franchising, which is most people on the day before they get into franchising don't understand it. It's a tough thing to figure out.
You definitely have to take the rankings with a grain of salt. The one of our clients who exited successfully after their system grew, we were talking, and the client had mentioned that, yeah, in the early days, I got all excited about these rankings and awards, and then I just realized, like, sort of everyone gets them, or, there's pay to play, right? So take it with a grain of salt, right? All of these rankings, and I agree, if you don't know the underlying, someone may rank really well just based on volume.
That's right.
And so what does that really mean with the overall rankings? So they have to be careful.
Now, the good news on this list, which we'll publish this list, there's solutions. If you're a franchise buyer, there's a solution for each of these. So if I'll just take number one, financial commitment. My advice is always buy a brand where you're financially qualified to open up 3. Doesn't mean you buy 3. It just means you're financially qualified. That means you didn't overextend your savings. You have money for scale when you start growing. And so the financial commitment side, you look at how much money you have. If you got $5,000 in the bank, maybe franchising isn't right for you yet. You got $500,000 in the bank. Maybe you start looking at an investment that's closer to $100,000 to $200,000, so that you're looking at things that don't totally overextend you. And so I think the point is, on each of these 25 challenges that we presented, I think there is a solution for each of them,
Yeah, there is. And look, and what you're recommending also is not just a financing standpoint, like I'll call it Nick's rule of 3, right? Have the capability to open up 3 locations, but that's also, for the franchise buyers listening to this, think about the mindset perspective that Nick's applying here. Not only is he saying that you need that extra reserve capitalization and not overwhelm your financial situation, there's an implicit assumption Nick's also making that to build wealth, you're probably going to need 3 locations. It's not just going to come from 1, right?
Yeah, it's not going to come overnight.
Nope. No, so don't go buy the 3 territories when you can only support 1. Hold on to that capital.
Are we still fighting? Like, I felt like we went into this guns blazing.
Yeah, I was all pumped up to fight, and then didn't happen.
I wish I could push rewind on that one moment. Yeah, well, it was clickbait.
It's like the sites that do all the reviews on their clickbait.
We're always clickbait, but there was a moment there where Charles was like, enough is enough. The development companies and this, he's like, I'm over this shit. So we had a little bit of fight. All right. So if you're looking at buying a franchise, look at these challenges, start creating a solution on each of these. That's what AI says to do. So AI is always right. By AI, I mean Allen Iverson. Practice. Who cares about practice? See you guys.